Here's what all the pros know. I'm going to talk about you know, your typical 5/1 cadence and what the pros know about the secrets, if you will, about the sameness of chords, the likeness of chords besides just the 5 and 1. Okay? So for those of you who don't know what a 5/1 cadence is in chord functional theory, in basic harmony, we learn that let's say G is our home chord, our 1 chord, okay? Well, it says that if you play the 5th away from that, you play its chord, its diatonic chord, which is that 7th chord. It wants to resolve to the 1. It's the strongest cadence there is, okay? So here's what the pros know. When they see that 5/1 cadence, they see it and they know that's about the most obvious, possibly, like, it's really very obvious, okay? But they recognize that there's like many ways to make that cadence happen, okay? So when they see that 5, they don't think, oh, okay, I gotta find some way to play off that 5, some interesting way to do that. They know that they can play other chords that will do the same thing, that will do the same thing, and it will add like varying degrees of obviousness, if you will, or they'll be closer or further away sounding just 5 chords. I'm going to show you what those are, okay? So I'm going to start with one that you probably uncover more frequently, and is this idea that you're playing a 7, what's considered the it's basically that flat 5, you know. If you build a chord off the 7th degree of the major scale, you end up getting a triad that's diminished. And so these guys know, oh, when I see a 5, I can play the 7 instead. Okay, so let me show you the difference here. So here's the 5 version. Right? Here's the 7 version. There's no, when I played the 7th, I didn't even touch the root of the 5th. But what's interesting, if you look at the chord tones of what's happening in that diminished there, you can see that it's really just the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th chord tone of the 5 chord. So they know, oh, I don't have to play a 5 chord. I can play that diminished chord just a half step behind. Okay, so that one you see sometimes like written. Sometimes you might see that written as forget about how you might see it written. You can know that you can use that chord as a substitute for that 5. Okay, and you can take it up as far as you want, like, you know, the root 3, flat 5, 7. I can play the whole thing. To resolve to that, it's gonna have the same cadence. It's gonna feel a little different. It might feel a little darker, or but it's gonna do the same thing, okay? And it doesn't matter if your guitar player or keyboard player is playing the 5 in its like natural position. you're not playing any notes that are going to interfere with that, okay? Unless they're playing some, you know, like really coloring up that 5 chord with something that you want to be aware of. But if you stick to the basic like triadic tones, you're not gonna ruffle any feathers, okay? The other one, there's 2 more. The other one is using the 2 chord instead of the 5 chord, okay? So let me play what that cadence might sound like, really simply with just triadic ideas here. So I played just a triad, and I played a 7th chord there. I could play a playing very, you'll notice I'm playing very classical sounding. I'm just trying to play like the chord tones so you can hear the quality of the cadence, okay? But you know, in like a real situation, I might like, you know, in a more modern scenario, I might play like, you know, something like, I might play like a minor pentatonic there over somebody's 5 chord, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work, and it's gonna sound like a little more colorful too. It's gonna start borrowing like the extensions of that 5 chord. So the 2, much like this 7, when I play the 2. And I look at the chord tones of just the triad, I've got this, you know, I'm actually playing the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th, okay, of the 5 chord. And you know, I'll throw the root in there too. You can play the 2 straight over, play the 7 straight over the 5. Last one, the 4. You can play the 4 chord as far as you want. You'll notice the 4 is really, when like the other ones, the 4 is the root of the 4 is just the 7th chord tone of the 5, right? There's the 7th. So when I play a basic triad off of the 4, if I look at it like, well, what is that? How is that supporting that 5 chord? I'm playing the 7, the 9, and the 11, all of which will work. So you can see that when people start getting stuck or look for like more inventive ways of like playing that 5/1 cadence, look to these other chords to be a little less obvious, okay? I'm telling you, this will get together with like get together with a guitar player or a keyboard player, test these out. It's gonna open your eyes, okay? If you like this, I'm gonna take these ideas further and start talking about, you know, how these cadences can be substituted further to really start creating some like real color, some outside stuff. If you want more of that, just say so. Okay? Stay cool.